When you think of friendship in anime, your first response is probably to roll your eyes, or even cringe at the corny and unrealistic friendships that tend to stick out in the medium. And that's because most of the time, anime as a whole has a tendency to portray friendship as something that has to be perfect, something that is purely good all the time. And that just feels fake. It's why I, and most likely all of you, are kinda tired of it. Nobody wants to watch the power of friendship save the day for the 1000th time, or see a main character who just stumbles across random people that magically become like loyal servants, obeying their every command. Cause that's not what friendship is at all. That's not genuine, as Hikigaya Hachiman would say if you've ever watched Origairu. Honestly, a real friend is someone who pushes you out of a moving vehicle into the path of a giant flying whale when you're losing your mind. Okay, maybe that's not exactly in the definition, but a real friend is there for you while not being some spineless puppet that does whatever you say. A real friend is someone that supports you but keeps you in line. Someone that listens to what you have to say but will tell you you're an idiot if they don't agree. Just like Otto from ReZero. And I think one of the reasons that Otto is one of the best representations of a real and authentic friend in anime, and one of the most underrated characters in ReZero, is because he is very much his own person. If you really pay attention, most side characters tend to fall into this trap of embodying something. They might embody strength, kindness, or even anger. And a lot of times it makes them more recognizable characters, because the audience knows what to expect from them, even if it's only at a subconscious level. And it makes it far easier for the mangaka to write them because they already have an outline for how these characters should behave. But along with those benefits, it makes the characters less real, because people are far more complex than that. They jump from identities to motives to emotions and can never be put into a single category. That's why a lot of times friendships in anime don't work or feel fake, because the MC is often this complex and fleshed out character that mimics a real person, while the side character is more of a supportive puppet that follows along with whatever the main character wants. And honestly, the first time we see him, Otto is portrayed as one of these simple and static characters, because he seems like your stereotypical loser that embodies weakness and fear, just farming pity from the audience, kind of like Zenitsu from Demon Slayer. But we quickly see this surface level facade shatter the moment that Otto throws Subaru out of the carriage and into the path of the white whale. If we're being honest, this moment is extremely selfish, and it's very morally wrong, but it's also very real. At this point in the story, Otto barely even knows Subaru, and upon learning the entire nightmare of a situation that they have fallen into is because Subaru attracts monsters but decided not to tell anyone, Otto decides to put himself first and resorts to drastic measures. And these measures are not good, they are not supportive, but they are real, because Otto is his own person, with his own story and his own motivations for living. So of course he isn't going to sacrifice all that because some idiot dragged him into this mess. And even though that sounds bad and scummy, it's the very reason that Subaru and Otto's friendship works so well. They both are real people with their own stories. I mean, honestly, Otto's life up until the beginning of the show is way more insane than Subaru's. So much so that he could even be the main character of his own anime. And that dynamic makes their friendship feel authentic, because no one is the master of the other. They're both equals, with their own opinions and methods, which we can see proof of all throughout the show. But it is most apparent in Season 3, when Otto suddenly disappears for a handful of episodes without telling anybody. Even we, the audience, are left in the dark, questioning where he is and what he's doing, as the rest of the cast are fighting and seemingly losing against the Sin Archbishops. But the whole time, Otto is working in the shadows to create a distraction for Reinhard and even restore part of the Book of Wisdom. His support ends up being a deciding factor that helps turn the tides in the battle for Priscilla, and nearly the entire time he is acting on his own accord, making his own decisions and doing what he thinks is best to help his friends, because he is entirely himself. He's not an extension of Subaru, or an embodiment of some ideal. He is Otto, and that's why people love him so much. Because just as much as he is a character in Subaru's story, Subaru is a character in his story. And now, even though I have been painting Otto as this character that is totally independent from Subaru, which he is, he's still always there for Subaru when he needs him the most. Like in Season 2, when Otto frees Subaru from Garfield's jail, and again when Subaru starts losing his mind and Otto helps calm him down and find a way forward. This scene specifically is one of my favorites in the entire show, and I think it's one of the best representations of a real friend in all of anime, because at this moment, Subaru is at his absolute lowest. He's been betrayed by Echna and Roswell back to back, people who both acted as mentors to him in a way, and the two people that give him support and encouragement, Rem and Amelia, are completely out of the picture, leaving Subaru broken and hopeless, being literal seconds away from completely collapsing and likely abandoning everything like he tried to with Rem. But it is at this exact moment, when Subaru needs him the most, that Otto appears. And instead of offering him support like Rem or Amelia would have, he offers him tough love by telling Subaru that he is acting delirious and literally beating him up, which, as weird as it is the very thing that Subaru needs in this moment. Because up until now, Subaru had been crushed by the weight of maintaining his happy-go-lucky facade, and most importantly, the pressure of saving everyone all by himself. So Otto comes in, and even though Subaru can't tell him exactly what's going on because of the curse of return by death, Otto does the very best thing that he can for Subaru, which is freeing him from his isolated perspective by telling Subaru that he's an idiot and that he needs to start relying on other people, especially him. And instead of asking Subaru what to do next, he tells him what to do, completely flipping the narrative and taking control of the entire story. By doing this, Otto doesn't just motivate Subaru to get back up and keep carrying the weight that is holding him down. Instead, Otto takes that weight from Subaru. He doesn't even give him a choice in the matter. He shares in the uncertainty and pressure of making the right decision with Subaru, so that the future is no longer just in Subaru's hands, but both of theirs. And this really is what cements Otto as a true friend, but it's only possible because of him being his own individual person, like we talked about earlier, that is capable of carrying his own weight and the weight of others when need be. But before we talk about the final part of this video, which is how Otto is such a good friend to Subaru, I do want to ask that if you enjoyed this video and have watched this far into it, that you consider subscribing. Obviously it's free, and it is my goal to hit 1K before summer's over, which I really think we can hit and even surpass. Now, shameless plug out of the way, everyone knows that a good friend is there for you and helps you in times of need. But how did Otto know exactly what Subaru was feeling, and the best way to help him when Subaru had no way of outright telling him? Well, I think it comes down to Subaru and Otto being parallel characters in a sense. Their childhoods, while being much different fundamentally, had a very similar effect on them. They both became lonely and isolated, and both were seen as complete losers and outcasts by society. Even Otto's divine protection of soul language is something that he had to completely hide from others, and continues to hide from most. A lot like how Subaru is forced to hide his authority of return by death. So the two of them know better than anyone what it's like to feel alone and to carry the burdens that nobody else can see. And honestly, I think that's why, when Subaru was at his lowest, Otto knew exactly what to do, because he had been there before. And I think that's also why he was so angry at Subaru as well, because Otto knows just how much bottling pain and despair within yourself hurts, and the fact that Subaru had Otto by his side the whole time but refused to confide in him or rely on him was completely unacceptable to Otto, which is why he took matters into his own hands and forcefully took part of the burden that Subaru was carrying away from him. And that's why Otto is such an incredible representation of a true friend. He functions like a real person would, and his relationship with Subaru has its ups and downs, like all authentic friendships. But in the end, Otto is always there when Subaru needs him the most, and he tells Subaru what he needs to hear, even if he doesn't want to hear it, just like a true friend would.